Okay, so we've all seen those lists, right? The hot tips, the expert picks. But have you ever wondered what the actual strategy is behind them? Today, we're going to deconstruct a global sports betting guide, piece by piece, to really understand the blueprint that holds all those bets together. I mean, that's the real question, isn't it? What's the difference between just a random list of tips and a real, coherent plan? How do you build a multi-layered strategy from all these individual picks? Well, let's dive in and map out the method presented in our source material. So the source calls this whole thing a betting blueprint, and you should think of it less like a shopping list and more like an actual architectural plan. It all starts with a really stable base, and then it carefully layers on other elements to build towards one specific high-reward goal. Every strong structure needs a solid foundation, right? Well, in this blueprint, that foundation is built with what the source calls heavy favorites. These are the picks that are designed to be the most stable, the most predictable part of the entire strategy. And this is really important. The strategy doesn't start by hunting for some wild long shot. No, it starts with games where the outcome is considered super probable. Now, the individual returns might be pretty small, but the goal at this stage isn't a huge payout. It's all about stability. The logic behind each pick is absolutely key here. It's not just, oh, this team is better. No. For Al Hilal, it's about their unbeaten streak versus a team that's really struggling. For Omonia, it's all about their historical dominance at home. For Porto, you've got a top team playing a newcomer. See? Every single selection is backed up by a specific, data-driven reason. Okay, so once that stable foundation of favorites is in place, the blueprint moves to the next layer, diversification. And this means looking beyond just picking a winner and starting to focus on the dynamics of the game itself. This is a really important shift in thinking. You know, betting on a winner is binary. You're either right or you're wrong. Simple. But betting on goal totals? That's a different game. You're not focused on who wins anymore. You're focused on the nature of the game. Is it going to be an offensive shootout or a defensive grind? This opens up a whole new world of possibilities. So let's see how the source actually uses this. It finds value on both ends of the spectrum. On one hand, you've got games like Gharafa versus Wahda, picked for over 0.5 goals, which is basically just a bet that the game won't end in a boring scoreless draw. But on the other hand, it targets matchups like Fulham versus Nottingham Forest for under 3.5 goals, betting on a low-scoring affair. It's all about finding those statistical trends wherever they pop up. All right, the next level of diversification is a big one. We're jumping sports entirely. Moving from football to basketball isn't just a change of scenery. It's a really strategic move to tap into a completely different market with its own unique patterns and dynamics. And this quote from the source material tells you everything you need to know. These basketball picks aren't just random additions. They're chosen for a very specific reason. Their odds are in that sweet spot that makes them, and I quote, perfect for building accumulators. They're a means to an end. So the strategy here is to target these fast-paced basketball leagues where games tend to get off to a high-scoring start. And notice the focus is just on the first half. It's a bet on early game action, predicting that teams like Krakow and Partizan are going to combine for more than 78 points by halftime. Each one of these picks is a carefully chosen ingredient ready to be mixed into something much bigger. And now we get to see how it all comes together. This is the moment where all the individual pieces, the heavy favorites, the goal bets, the basketball plays, they all get combined for the blueprint's final objective, multiplying the potential return. For anyone who's not familiar, here's the concept in a nutshell. An accumulator, you might have heard it called a parlay, basically bundles several separate bets into one. The magic is the odds multiply, which creates a much higher potential payout. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. Every single one of your picks has to win. If even one of them fails, the whole bet is gone. High risk, high reward. And the source lays out an exact formula for how to build this thing. First, you start with that strong base of 4 to 6 of those heavy football favorites. Then you strategically add a diversifier, like one of those bets on a low-scoring game, just to round it out. Finally, you package them all together into a single bet. So what's the intended result of all this careful construction? Well, the source suggests that this specific type of accumulator has the potential to multiply your original stake by 4 to 6 times. And that's the whole point of the strategy, to turn a series of low-odds, high-probability bets into a really significant potential return. So, now that we've walked through every single layer, let's pull back and look at the big picture. What are the fundamental principles that really define this betting blueprint? Let's distill it all down to its core strategic takeaways. So here it is, the blueprint deconstructed. You start with that stable foundation of favorites. Then you diversify, first by the type of bet, and then by the sport itself. All of those carefully selected pieces are then leveraged in combination to create that high reward potential. And the thing holding it all together? The principle that every single pick has to be justified with a clear, stated reason. Which, of course, leaves us with one final big question. You can have a perfectly logical, well-structured blueprint just like this one, but in a world of unpredictable outcomes, how much is really determined by strategy, and how much of it, at the end of the day, is just left to good old-fashioned luck? It's definitely something to think about.